I just want to show that everybody here is peaceful. We've been peaceful since we've been here. We want no violence.
But they have to be safe too. What's going on Why would that
Criminalize people who sell and use drugs for people who's not.
Okay.
Who sell and use drugs.
Wow, they're armed and ready. Check it out. Blue Lives Matter, thank you for your service.
Thanks, sir.
All right.
It's crazy.
Isn't that something? This I disagree with. Hate speech. Yeah. There's no such thing as hate speech. No such thing. And then we return to the confines of nature. So just showing you, we got a lot of support here today. I guess, I think, again, I say just the mayor of Berkeley was shaking. Hey, how are you?
Good, welcome to Berkeley. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
It is a great day.
Yeah, as you can see, we actually really do love free speech in Berkeley.
Good. What do you think of these Antifa thugs, though? They don't represent Berkeley, then?
You know, it's hard to, they definitely don't represent Berkeley. It's hard to tell whether they're delusional or whether they're actually, some of them maybe are deliberately trying to make progressives look bad by acting violent, because the vast majority of us understand that that just plays into exactly what the hate mongers like Milo and Coulter and them, they're trying to rally their base, and so we understand. It's a game to boost their ratings. And
can you tell me why you call Ann Coulter a hate monger, or why Milo's a hate monger?
You know, honestly, what limited I've read about them, because I'm sure they've said lots more than what I've read or heard. What little I've read seems deliberately designed and deliberately phrased to try to piss people off, to try to like inflame tensions, insult people, and that's why I call them hate mongers, because they're not actually interested in dialogue or even debate. They're interested in a show like this, or like we had here the last couple times. That's what they want.
But you vocally condemn what happened on the 15th.
Oh, absolutely.
That should have never happened.
By both sides.
I would say, though, that you've got the regressive left. They are resorting to violence because they've tried the Solinsky playbook is based on shaming and scaring people. And now that conservatives and pro-American elements in our country are no longer being shamed or scared into silence, now they're resorting to violence.
So I'm a pro-American element in this country, and so is pretty much just about everybody that I know. And none of us, not me nor any of my friends or relatives or anybody that I know, is engaging in any violence.
Good.
So, and we are the left, we are progressive, and we are pro-American.
Okay.
Because America is great. It's been great.
Okay. Do you think that it was doing well under 8 years under Obama?
I think there were a lot of things that were improving under 8 years of Obama. I think there were a lot of things that weren't changing the way I'd like to see them change.
What did improve?
So, okay, a few things that improved. I think Obama took a lot of steps to actually support progressive changes in America, especially supporting the economies that we're actually now slipping back behind the world on in a lot of 21st century economies, especially like solar and wind and other alternative energies.
Do you know we have 95 million people out of work? That wages have stagnated, have actually gone down?
Do you know the solar industry employs more people than the coal industry?
I don't know that. I'm not sure that's true. I also know that, but you didn't answer my question. 95 million out of work. Epic number.
Will
homeless
totally
veterans.
Hand you that like the way the economy tanked at the end of the Bush administration was terrible. And I would agree with you that Obama didn't do enough to turn things around. And there's some of Obama's promises that he didn't keep that kind of upset me, that disappointed me. Personally, I don't think Obama was nearly progressive enough. To me, it's absurd to hear people on the right accuse him of being a communist or a socialist.
He had communist training.
He was so centrist. It's absurd, and he made a lot of progressive promises that he didn't live up to.
What are promises you'd like to see kept, or that wanted to see fulfilled?
You mean Trump's promises, or Obama's?
I mean, like with Obama.
So with Obama's, for example, he promised to end the revolving door between government and Wall Street, and he did the exact same thing that Trump's done, which is basically hire a bunch of Wall Street executives to run the financial sector of our government. But Obama did exactly the same as Bush before and Trump after him, and that upsets me. That disappoints me.
You're a single payer guy, I imagine?
Absolutely. I'm thrilled we're going to have it in California. Are you from California?
I'm born in Torrance, California. Yes, born and raised. I still live there.
Well,
Came all the way up. Do you know that with single payer, countries that have single payer, the waiting lines are longer, rationing is greater. I followed videos like Steven Crowder. He went undercover into Quebec, and he was forced to wait 24 hours just to speak to a nurse, actually just to an office keeper, essentially, in order to determine when he would see a nurse.
Do you know that I have a few Canadian friends, including a close neighbor, all of them without question, without even flinching, just shake their head at our medical system and say it makes so much more sense back in Canada. Most of them actually go back to Canada for their major medical expenses.
When did they start having this sentiment?
I mean, for as long as I've known them, and some of them have been here for more than 10 years, and they still shake their head and they say, you know, it's just crazy how inequitable your health system is. It's kind of absurd.
Okay, you're talking about equity.
I have a cousin who's American, lived in London for about a dozen years. Both of his daughters were born there, and he gave some honest assessments of how some of the pros and cons, and how in fact there's actually in some ways kind of a two-tier system.
There is a two-tier system, and that's very inequitable.
Sure, but at the same time he said the inequitabilities even in that two-tier system pale in comparison to here. That as a society they spend so much less money on healthcare.
Do you know how many people?
Not to mention the fact that they're not spending nearly as much. Nobody spends nearly as much on either healthcare or military as Americans do. And we have the sense that because it's America,
you've had a chance to say some things.
We shouldn't learn from other countries.
So here's the thing: you've got longer wait times. You have people with severe illnesses who end up getting selective designation. You have patients who end up coming to the United States to get care. There was an example of this with I know that Bernie Sanders and Richard Burr went back and forth on this a couple years ago in a committee hearing. The rationing's high, the prices are much higher for food, drinks, etc. because of the surcharges required because of the cost of healthcare. It's very inefficient. There are massive mismanagement issues. There's moral concerns, which are concerned because it becomes a government agency. I'd have to sit down and talk to these individuals, but for the people who've gone undercover, who've gone through the system, how long they have to wait, there are cities in Canada where they have to draw names out of a basket in order to determine whether they'll actually get to see a family doctor that day. The rationing is immense. Also in Canada, there are a lot of what's the term, black market health clinics. They operate outside of the single payer structure. They're illegal, but they're allowed to operate. I have talked to doctors before and after the single payer system was imposed. Not talked, just because I read their accounts, and it's worse. Doctors can't give free health care. They can't give pro bono care. They're punished for it. So the cons are way too high. Now, you want to talk about the problems in our system? Obamacare exacerbated them with the health care problem. The cost of health insurance has skyrocketed. I have families, friends who have seen their premiums double, triple even per month. This is not equity. It's inequitable. Single payer is a terrible system. Individuals say good things about it. It depends. I know, but Obamacare was terrible and it actually made our healthcare system worse. The individuals in these single-payer countries who praise single-payer, they've never had the serious illnesses which require experimental drugs. The innovation is all but gone. Many Canadian healthcare professionals, they end up going to the United States or other countries where they can make more money and they get to keep more of it. I have to start sitting down, you know, and the other thing too, I've talked to people who say they love Obamacare, but for one person who loves it...
I don't love Obamacare.
But, so that's just it, I appreciate, because you want single payer. But those who have benefited from Obamacare, it doesn't make up for the 50,000 or the hundreds of thousands ahead of that who are... suffer because of it.
Every person that I know, and I know quite a few, who are either Canadian that have moved here or Americans that have lived in Canada for some time, including a cousin on my father's side who's been living in Canada, in Vancouver for 20 years, a cousin on my mother's side who just moved there about a year and a half ago, without exception. All of them who have actually experienced both healthcare systems say that, on balance, all things taken to get, you know, the good, the bad, because everything has its good and its bad. They are, without a doubt, say the Canadian system's better. And you know, my neighbors, they've had some major medical issues here. They've had some major medical issues here, and they still say the Canadian system's better. I mean, without exception. I mean, they kind of laugh at how it gets misportrayed here, and how it's become this thing that just doesn't jive with their experience. And you know, I haven't lived in Canada. I've been there a bunch of times.
Oh, you haven't lived there?
I haven't lived there.
So you haven't experienced it yourself?
I haven't experienced it for myself, but that's what I'm saying. Like, the people that I know, and I know closely, who have experienced it, without exception, they say it's not even, there's just no debate that the Canadian system is better. I mean, there's no hesitation from them.
So, well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. What's your name?
Arthur.
Arthur?
Yeah, Arthur Shopper from Torrance, California.
Nice to meet you.
And what's your name?
Warner from Berkeley, California.
Thanks so much.